Jim Shooter, the legendary comic book writer, editor, and former editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics, has passed away at the age of 73. His death was confirmed on June 30th through a heartfelt post by fellow comic book writer Mark Waid. Shooter had been battling esophageal cancer for a long time, and despite his health struggles, he remained a towering figure in the world of comics until the very end. The news of his passing sent ripples across the comic book community, as fans, creators, and industry veterans paid tribute to a man whose fingerprints are on some of the most iconic and transformative moments in comic book history. Jim Shooter's journey into the world of comics began in an extraordinary way. Born in 1951, he started writing professionally at just 14 years old, a feat that even by today's standards is incredibly rare. While most teenagers were busy with school and hobbies, Shooter was penning stories for DC Comics, diving headfirst into the adventures of Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. Shooter's early scripts demonstrated a remarkable understanding of storytelling, pacing, and character dynamics. He wasn't just dabbling, he was shaping the future of characters like Karate Kid, Pharaoh Lad, Princess Projectra, and the infamous villain group, the Fatal Five. He also wrote one of the first races between Superman and the Flash, a concept that became a tradition in the DC universe. His youthful energy, combined with a sharp eye for structure and continuity, made him stand out from the crowd. His work ethic and commitment would eventually redefine how comics were written and produced for generations to come. After a brief detour into advertising, Shooter returned to comics in the mid-1970s. In 1976, he joined Marvel Comics as an assistant editor. By early 1978, he was named Marvel's ninth editor-in-chief, a role he held for nearly a decade. This period marked one of the most pivotal eras in Marvel's history. Under Shooter's leadership, Marvel saw major changes. He streamlined the production pipeline, drastically reducing delays that had plagued the company. More importantly, he championed the idea of paying creator royalties, a move that shook the industry and encouraged better, more passionate work from artists and writers. Shooter also enforced a stronger editorial direction, aiming for tighter continuity and cleaner storytelling across all Marvel titles. While this approach earned him both praise and criticism, there's no denying that it helped professionalize the comic book business. His tenure saw some of the most legendary creative runs in comic book history. Chris Claremont and John Byrne's Uncanny X-Men, Frank Miller's Daredevil, John Byrne's Fantastic Four, Roger Stern's Avengers and Amazing Spider-Man, Walt Simonson's mythic take on Thor. This era wasn't just a creative high point. It was a time when Marvel truly matured into a storytelling powerhouse. One of Shooter's most significant contributions came with the creation of Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars in 1984, the first major company-wide crossover event. It was a bold new experiment, a series that brought together heroes and villains from across the Marvel Universe into a single, cohesive narrative. Secret Wars wasn't just commercially successful, it was culturally significant. It introduced iconic elements, including Spider-Man's black costume, which would later evolve into the fan-favorite character Venom. The crossover concept has since become a staple of both Marvel and DC publishing strategies, and Shooter's work essentially laid the blueprint. Despite his accomplishments, Shooter's tenure at Marvel was not without controversy. His strong editorial hand was seen by some as overly rigid. Roy Thomas once noted that Shooter wanted stories told the way he wanted them told, a comment reflecting the deep creative tensions that sometimes arose under his leadership. His management style, while effective in driving results, often clashed with the more freewheeling sensibilities of certain creators. This friction ultimately led to his dismissal from Marvel in 1987. But even those who disagreed with him have acknowledged his lasting impact on the company and the medium. Not one to slow down, Shooter co-founded Voyager Communications in 1989, the company behind Valiant Comics. At Valiant, Shooter brought a unique mix of world building, storytelling continuity, and editorial discipline that helped the company quickly rise to prominence. He recruited seasoned Marvel veterans and reshaped characters like Solar, Man of the Atom and Magnus, Robot Fighter, while also developing original properties such as Exo Manowar, Harbinger, Shadowman, and Bloodshot. Valiant offered fans something different. A tightly woven universe where stories mattered, consequences were real, and characters grew in meaningful ways. The company would go on to become the third largest comics publisher behind Marvel and DC in the early 90s. Shooter also oversaw adaptations of licensed characters, including Nintendo and WWF titles, bringing them to life in ways that appealed to both kids and collectors alike. After parting ways with Valiant, Shooter launched two more publishing ventures, Defiant Comics and Broadway Comics. These imprints were short-lived but creatively ambitious. At Defiant, Shooter worked with comic legend Steve Ditko on projects like Warriors of Plasm and continued to explore new ground with his unique storytelling approach. Broadway Comics followed with similar aspirations but was hindered by market conditions and closed its doors shortly after launching. Despite these setbacks, Shooter remained undeterred. His passion for comics never wavered. From the 2000s onward, Shooter shifted toward more specialized creative work. He served as the creative director at Illustrated Media, where he worked on custom comics, children's books, and even dabbled in screenplay writing. In 2024, Shooter publicly announced that he was stepping back from professional commitments due to ongoing health issues. That same year, he supported a Kickstarter project to revive his long-lost series Schism, which will now be published posthumously. Shooter's final years were spent not in retirement, but in creation, continuing to shape the medium he loved so deeply. Jim Shooter was many things: a prodigy, a perfectionist, a visionary. He elevated comic books from a casual hobby to a respected business, professionalizing an industry that had long been seen as a niche market. He believed in commercial storytelling that could reach children and adults alike, and he fought for creators to receive recognition and compensation for their work. He introduced practices that are now industry standards, things like royalties, tighter deadlines, and cohesive continuity across titles. Even those who clashed with him would often acknowledge his brilliance and dedication. Shooter was not always an easy man to work with, but he pushed people to do their best, and the results speak for themselves. Professionalism and long-term vision. From shaping the Legion of Superheroes in the 60s to creating Secret Wars, from launching Valiant Comics to mentoring new generations of creators, Shooter's influence can be felt across every corner of the comic book world. Jim Shooter's legacy isn't just about the titles he helped bring to life. It's about what he represented, the idea that comic books could be more than entertainment, that they could be crafted with purpose, professionalism, and long-term vision. He took a young, inconsistent industry and helped mold it into something credible, something lasting. And he did so not just with talent, but with relentless drive and unwavering belief in the power of storytelling. He also reminded everyone, fans, writers, and artists alike, that no matter your age, background, or style, comics are for anyone with a story to tell. As tributes continue to pour in from fans and creators alike, it's clear that Jim Shooter wasn't just an influential figure. He was a pillar of modern comics. Whether you loved his approach or disagreed with it, you couldn't ignore it. He left an imprint that changed the trajectory of the industry forever. His death is a tremendous loss, but his legacy lives on in every panel, every crossover, every passionate young writer dreaming of their first script. Thank you, Jim Shooter, for everything you gave to the world of comics. If you've enjoyed this deep look into the life and legacy of Jim Shooter, don't forget to give this video a like. It really helps us reach more fans who love comic book history just like you. And if you want to hear more powerful stories like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What's your favorite Jim Shooter story or moment? Drop it in the comments below. Until next time, thank you for watching, and may Jim Shooter's visionary spirit continue to inspire generations to come.